So people who identify as transgender but do not seek medical or surgical treatment are not transsexual. So that is a difference. So transgender, and I wanted to. This is why I wanted to look at this. It's because I wanted to make sure that we were saying things in the most informed way possible, right? And being respectful of people and how they feel. So transgender is a non-medical term. Transsexual is a medical term, and it's for people who identify as transgender. Oh, okay. But who do not seek medical or surgical treatment are not transsexual. So transsexual means that they have undergone some kind of medical, surgery or affirmation care. So that means like they've had hormones, they've done something medically in that way, and that makes them transsexual. And then transgender is a non-medical term. So I thought that was interesting because I wasn't really aware that, like them. Transgender and then transsexual, because I hear the word transgender all the time, but I don't really hear the word transsexual all the time.
Right.
And I have two friends that I've had in my life. One that I'm still in contact with. The other I'm not in contact with anymore. But that were both transsexuals. They both had medical intervention and treatment for their gender dysphoria and went through doctors to get that diagnosis. They're not just transgender, they're transsexuals. So I should be using the proper term myself.
Yeah, you got to use the right words, man. That's what makes it so hard to get it right and understand each little variation and each pronoun for what it means. And people calling regular heterosexual people cis. Men are cis, and like, okay, but why? You don't have to call me that. You just call me Steve again. That works fine. Good Jesus. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot, people. It's a lot. I'm just saying. It gets to be a lot because I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to be a dick. I want to be like respectful of people. But I don't want to feel like I have to change my whole fucking existence to accommodate people who are just people after all. You know what I mean? I'm not asking them to do anything weird, but they're asking me, they're going to call me a different thing and asking me to use all these different terms. How about if I just call you your name? It seems like the most economical way to go. Call me crazy.
There's a lot to it. There is absolutely like just so much. Now where was it that I had? I had something on the statistics, and I gotta look for that real quick. So small. Cross-dressing. Where did I put it? I don't remember where I put it. But so now that we have like a history on it, I know that took up a huge chunk of the beginning of the show. Like, holy my gosh, I might have to split this into a couple different shows. But I'm going to have links to all of this information. I have links about like puberty blockers and what the effects that they have, and they're talking about the bone density, and how if they're doing puberty blockers with trans kids, that they can make it where they can never, like, when they're not able to function as an adult. There's just a lot that's happening, and I feel like we need to take a step back as a society and help the people and not rush the people, and don't let the doctors like Dr. Money and Dr. Kinsey be the huge influence that they are without examining, with current up to date data about what's happening. I just think we need to take a look at these things, because something is happening. The numbers are going through the roof. There's kids that are detransitioning. There's people that are detransitioning after they've transitioned, and they're not being heard. Their voices are being squashed. And I want to better understand what is happening, and the way that I understand better what's happening is by looking into things and looking at all sides of it, and trying to come to some kind of answer as to what is happening, and where where do we go from here. So I have a video clip of somebody that it's from Twitter, and they're speaking out about their detransition and how it went for them. And I've heard a lot of these detransition stories just in doing research, and it's pretty heartbreaking to hear people say that they feel like they get the support when they want to transition, but when it's time to detransition because it wasn't right, they're not given that support. That entire community, the trans community, turns their back on them. So this is just, this is anecdotal evidence. This is one person's perspective, but I've heard this a lot. And I can't imagine, like, being a kid and like going through puberty and thinking that, like, and hearing people say, well, you're born the wrong body, you might be born the wrong body, and you feel like that in puberty. I mean, I did. Like, I know my friends did. It was a really awkward stage. And if I felt like, if I was given some kind of answer, like, oh yeah, well, maybe you were just born the wrong, I might have gone along with something. If I had that support, if I felt like I was going to get the support, I don't know. I've kind of like always been a person that's kind of stood my own ground and everything, but you're really vulnerable at that point in time. And the numbers are through the roof compared to what they used to be. So something is different. Something has changed.
Josh Davis.
Hey, Josh. Okay, let me mute this and play this.
And sexually exploited online to the point of authorities getting a mentally ill teenager who had been groomed and preyed upon and sexually exploited online to the point of authorities getting involved. I spiraled into a hatred of myself and my body and was told that it was just because I was a boy born in the wrong body and that this would fix me. I was affirmed down a path where I wasn't given any other choice as to what would help me. The very first medical intervention I ever had was a double mastectomy at 16. And then a few months later, I was put on testosterone. I'm now 21, and I will live with the impacts of that so-called care for the rest of my life. In the past 4 or 5 months, I have watched as my body has fallen apart in front of me, my joints constantly hurting, my vocal cords aching, watching as parts of me atrophy away before my very eyes. And yet at 16, they looked me in the eyes and they told me this was care. They told me it would save me. Despite the fact I was never suicidal, my parents were baited with the idea of, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? Bullied into going along with it. Their biggest crime being trusting those who they thought took an oath to do no harm. It's not about hate, detransitioning. It never has been. It's about keeping kids whole. I've worked with children. I've seen them explore the world, and I've seen that magic that they have. And doing something like transitioning them takes that away. How can you look me in the eyes and tell me that a child can consent to being changed to an experimental medical industry before they're even old enough to drive or understand the impacts of what that means in the first place? Kids deserve to be kids. They deserve to get to explore the world as a safe and loving place.
So that is just a story from one detransitioner. There's many of them out there, a lot of them, and they're silenced and they're, they are picked on. It's really sad because they were once part of the community, and then they don't feel that way anymore, and then all of a sudden they're kicked out, and that's not okay with the split between the LGB, which is the lesbian, gay, and bi community, compared to the TQIA, I think it is because of this extreme of medically transitioning children. There is very traditional transsexual people who will tell you that yes, they are trans. They will be honest with you and tell you that they are a trans woman or a trans man, and that they will never tell you that a trans woman is a woman, because you can't do that. You can't change biology 100%. It just really cannot happen. There's no amount of medical procedures right now that can do that can change who you are and your experiences.
But they're working on it. They have something in the meta for everybody, so don't worry. It'll be fine.
So they've been talking about this, Josh, for a while. They've been talking about splitting. Like, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. It wasn't all of this before, though. When I was major part of that community, it wasn't all of this. It really was not. It started out with the LGB, and that was, just the lesbians, the gay, and the bi community. And then the trans community came in, and they came in and they attached to it. And then it started out with all of the other things. And so it grew and it evolved and it changed. And now the traditional lesbians, gays, and bi people are being called TERFs. Yeah, and it's the gender surgeries that they're doing on children that is causing a lot of that divide. But there's also very traditional trans people that will tell you that, yeah, a trans woman, that they were biologically born a male, and they will tell you, yes, I've transitioned and this is the gender that I live in, but they're honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they should be giving puberty blockers to children. They've found that there's bone density issues, there's brain development issues, there's all these like long-term effects that are happening, and they're closing. They stopped doing it in other countries. Like they stopped, like Travis Stock, they're closing it. Like there's some crazy stuff there. I have links to the Travis Stock, and in the I'll have them in the show notes and everything like that, and I have information about the blockers in there. It's really crazy what's happening. Like they're losing bone density. It's causing spinal issues. Puberty blockers are making it where children can never, they can't have any like even once they stop taking puberty blockers, like they can have whole mess of issues. It is making them lifelong patients.
Yep.
If you start, you can't just like start this stuff and then just, you're not supposed to just stop, right?
Make it
and
permanent.
So they are making permanent medical patients out of these children.
Yep.
I mean, there is so much stuff about this stuff that I've been looking into this for a long time. I've been following it, but I haven't really covered a lot of it on the show, just because I just wanted to make sure that I was covering it in a way where I wasn't being disrespectful to the community, because I do respect people for where they are. And it's a really tough place to be at. And I feel like a lot of people are avoiding this topic, and it does affect only a very small percentage of people as well. But it's definitely a big issue for a very small amount of people that are, that are being affected by it.
Right? When's the Ministry of Gender come out? They're gonna have
my God,
a czar of penis and a czar of artificial penis. I don't know exactly how that works with politics and all, but I'm pretty sure that person already exists.
Oh my gosh, probably. So I looked up, I wanted to see how many, as I'm looking into this, I'm like, all right, well, how many people and in what states are there more, transgender or transsexual people? Because like we covered, there are two different. One is medical, the other one is not.
That's the thing.
So this is transgender. So transgender, you don't have to have any medical procedure. Anybody can say that they're transgender. It's not a medical. This is an ideology. So that's like,
it's a mindset more than it is.
Yeah,
a condition.
it is. It is. That's what the definitions are covered under the official definitions.
Because that kind of vague sort of thing is just what everybody wants with their gender fluidity. It's very non-specific, fits in beautifully with the transhumanist agenda. You don't have to commit to any one specific gender.
Look at this transgender. So transgender, this is non-surgical. This is anybody can identify this way. Population per 100K. Look at the DC number here.
Damn. See, DC is full of
2,032 people.
How do they all concentrate
for
there?
DC
My gosh,
alone?
I wonder. Do you think there's some kind of sort of what do you call it? Some sort of thing going on there with all the trans queer agenda people thing in one specific kind of mid-sized city in America having that much of a concentration, that doesn't seem weird at all.
It seems like a really high percentage.
Nah, it's just fine.
So I went down after that and I looked and I'm like, all right, so what's the percentage of the population is transgender in 2023? So it's a term used to describe people whose gender or sense of personal identity does not match the sex they were born in. In other words, a transgender person can be born as male but identifies as female or vice versa. Transgender people are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And according to the Williams Institute, 1.4 million adults identify as transgender in the United States, and about 0.5 of adults are 18 to 24 identify as transgender, and 0.3 of adults 65 and older identify as transgender. So anybody that wants to can just identify as transgender.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like you literally can be like, yeah, I just don't, it's not a medical condition.
That's a fair question. Salty.
What's up?
Or Agro actually said, when are they going to come out with the operation for a dick enlargement? What's the hold up? I don't know. I think they already have that.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm not sure.
So laws protecting transgender people. So I just said, anybody can identify as transgender, and then there's laws protecting these people that anybody can self-identify as. So if you want a law protecting you, you can just identify as transgender.
Yeah.
Does that not seem like something is wrong with what I just said?
It just seems a little funky to me.
Because we looked at the definitions, and transgender is literally an ideal. Like if you believe that, then you can be that. You can claim that.
Yeah, and I don't care what anybody else wants to claim to be or declare.
Well, that's how males are being put in female prisons, because they're like, I'm transgender. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a female, and so they're being put in a female prison as a male. Mm-hmm. It's happening. We have a story coming up later on in the show about how at a sorority house the females at the sorority house are suing. So I want to get through this real quick so we can get to that story. So the United States was made significant strides over the years. Several states have protections for transgender people, including employment, public accommodations, housing, credit, and schools. Unfortunately, many states do not have these protections in place. So the 13 states prohibit discrimination against transgender people in employment. This is California, Colorado, District of Columbia, all these states. Where was it where it talks about, the population by state. Okay. So approximately 1.9% of the adult population identifies as transgender, according to the data from 2020. But this is what was interesting to me. When breaking down the transgender population by state, the District of Columbia has the highest percentage at 2.77. All states in the United States have transgender adults, accounting for less than 1% of the adult population. All states in the United States have a transgender adult, accounting for less than 1% of the adult population. But in DC alone, it's 2.77.
Yeah, that seems inordinate. Like, so much so that I would remark on it.
It's a statistical anomaly. It's got to be. I mean, I'm not a statistical analyst or whatever. But if you look at this number, look at the number on the.
I'm just reading the chat because it's hilarious. Because everybody's like Ghost starts like I fuck around just so I could find out. Applejack's like, I live on the corner of fuck around and find out.
Oh my God, you guys are so funny. So I just thought that was crazy. And, if you're interested in the statistics, so I will definitely put this in the notes.
I mean, or if you're just into trans people and you're looking for date, I mean, I would try Tinder in DC, I guess.
I know.
You might hook right up, get some bootay.
I would have thought I wouldn't have picked DC.
Sort of,
I thought that was
part
interesting.
you're into, or parts. I don't know. I fucked around and found out a couple times. It's true. You do.
So some of these other states, like West Virginia, is banning gender affirming care. So, it's becoming like a political thing. Of course, it's always politics. It's always like, the right versus the left, or the conservative versus the non-conservatives. But yeah, West Virginia, the governor signs a ban on gender affirming care, and this is from the 29th of March.
What do you think? Yeah, Bex. Have you ever angered Lucky? Like when I interrupt her when she's reading an article? No, never.
Oh my God, Bex, you should hear us sometimes. We argue very loudly about how we're agreeing with each other. God damn it. Happens.
It's true. Was on fire.
So, West Virginia, they signed a bill banning gender affirming care for minors, joining at least 10 other states that have enacted laws restricting or outlining medically supported treatments of transgender youth. The bill outlaws are under 18 and being prescribed hormone therapy and fully reversible puberty blockers. Now I have a problem with them saying fully reversible puberty blockers right there, because I'm not going to go into all the details on them, but they will be in the notes about puberty blockers. There is people that say this is absolutely the opposite. And that's why I put those there in the notes. We're not going to have enough time to go through all of them. But this also bans minors from receiving gender-affirming surgery, something physicians say doesn't even happen in West Virginia. So, I mean, that's good, I guess.
Yeah.
Under law, it will take effect on January 2024. A patient can be prescribed puberty blockers and hormone therapy after receiving parental consent and a diagnosis of severe gender dysphoria from 2 doctors, including mental health provider. But if you've been here since the beginning of the show, you know what these are all based on. These are based on doctors that believe a lot of other sick things. Dr. John Money and Kinsey, they believe some things that are out there about children already. So,
Yeah.
In Florida, what's happening is they're having a transgender bathroom bill passed as a committee. I just wanted to briefly touch on this because I'm like, well, what are people supposed to do? People who have already transitioned, they're supposed to use a bathroom. Like, it would be more alarming to me if somebody comes in a bathroom that is, completely like the opposite. If I'm a mom with a young child and like somebody presenting outwardly as a stereotypical male comes in, I'm going to be like, thrown back by it. Oh, well, because they're saying that you have to use the bathroom of your, that you were assigned at birth. And some people have transitioned completely. So what about those people? Because I know at least in Connecticut, you can get your ID changed. Even if you don't have a full surgery of everything, you can have your IDs and everything changed to reflect who you're living as. who you identify as. And I don't think it's okay for them to come in and then tell people like, like you present like a male, but you have to go in the female bathroom. That's going to set people up for, for being harassed and possibly injured and put into danger, because not everybody is accepting. So I think as a society as a whole, we need to figure this shit out, because we're just passing, certain states are passing bills doing this thing or doing the other thing. And, like, are we going to have a third bathroom space for people? Something's going to have to happen.
I mean, that's really the thing, is the fact that the numbers of people who need to be accommodated with a third bathroom option
is very small. It's a really very small percent of the population.
Really tiny percent of the population, like 1% or less.
Yeah.
And so that in itself,
unless you're in DC, then it's almost 3%.
Right. Unless you're in DC and, you happen to be, I don't know what the deal is with that, but the fact is that until there are enough numbers of people who need that other bathroom, the bathroom ain't going to happen. And we're going to run into this issue of, Mr. Sister in the girl's bathroom. And that's just the way it is. And
I mean, but there's people who have fully transitioned though. And then they're like, what they're saying here is that people can be fined. Like, who's going to be checking this?
And can we just like
bathroom police?
I know there'll be a commandant outside the like a dude who looks like Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing. He lets the guy in. I think the terminology that we should embrace is not cis or whatever, he, she, or them. They should just be Sister, Mister, or Mr. Sister. End of story.
I mean, I've used the men's bathrooms. I'm
going to thank Salty for that, and Agro Progressive.
Men's bathrooms are actually also like cleaner than the women's bathroom. You wouldn't think that would be the case, but
not always.
Not always.
Certainly not.
Not always, but some of the times. So I mean, like, I guess. Are we, what do we do as a society? How do we move forward? We're going to fine people if they don't use the bathroom that they were assigned at their birth, or that doesn't match their government ID. And who's going to be checking this? You know what I mean? Like,
bathroom police. Is that a Cheap Trick song?
I know. It feels like really freaking crazy.
Police coming through to my head. The people.
I mean, it's insane. Like, who's gonna be checking? And who are you to determine? Like, there are some people that are really like androgynous. Like, you just can't tell, right?
Many people, so many more androgynous looking people in this world today than there ever have been. And androgyny was like easy to pull off back in the day. If you just dressed right, you would just look that way. But there are people where you just cannot tell by looking at them.
Yeah, and are they going to get harassed because they go in the bathroom that, you know what I mean? Like, that they want to use, that they feel comfortable. I want someone to use the bathroom that they're comfortable in, but I don't want, like, I don't want
other people to be uncomfortable by that person's comfort.
Yeah, I know. It's like, we need to figure this out. Like, as a society, we need to be having these bigger conversations about these things that are not always comfortable, and not just like pass laws like, oh yeah, we'll just make it a law. Okay, well, who's going to uphold that? Is there going to be vigilantes in the bathrooms? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, yeah, like, yeah, Pat,
it's Pat. Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. There's more people like in real life that look like Pat than.
So if I have say I transitioned, right? say I was somebody that transitioned from male to female, but I didn't get all of the surgery. I would have to go be, you know what I mean? Would you this person that presents as a female has to go into the men's bathroom, even if they've been, you know what I mean, on surgery and they, you know what I mean, like they or hormones or whatever as an adult, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem safe.
I think it all goes back to the idea that they want everybody on a system of some sort, and this is the easy way to implement that system. You give them a third option. They have to have their little card so that they can show.
Oh yeah, Dutch. It's going to be like digital IDs. It's going to go in the bathroom now.
Absolutely, that'll be the way to sort it all.
You guys, what do you guys think?
And
Do you think there's going to be digital IDs to go in the bathroom? You're going to have a QR code of whether you're pink or blue. Code.
Quit complaining. It only takes a second. They put it right in your retina. It's easy.
I mean, it's a small amount of the population now, but the amount of people that it is growing and growing and growing.
Rapidly.
It is rapidly growing. So it might be a small part of the population now, right now. But how many more people, if you can decide without having to medically anything that you are transgender, and you can become part of a protected class of people, and you can be accepted into a group of people, what is going to happen? And there's laws being written to protect you or against you in these cases. But if that's the case, though, I think that you're going to find that people are going to gravitate towards it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's and it is big enough of an issue that they're making laws about it. Why does it have to be a protected? It doesn't have to be a protected class, but I'll tell you. I'll show you what I mean by that. Where was this? Is where this happens. You know what video this is, Steve?
Which one's
Jeffrey Marsh.
Marsh, yeah. Yep.
So Jeffrey Marsh is social. He's on social media. He's been around for quite some time. Okay. Let me add that to the stream. So he's a he's an influencer that's big into the LGBTQ community.
Is it he or there?
I believe he goes. I think he goes by he because it's Jeffrey. I'm not sure. They might be they them. I'm not. I don't know.
I don't know. Stop asking me all the questions. I'm not sure.
But this is why I say protected class. Because
that's exactly who it is, Gray Walker. You should play that clip I clipped last night.
Hang on, I'm going to mute and then play this. This is really quick, but I might let it play through twice.
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us. Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you, but it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
So it's not a mutual respect. It's not a back and forth. We're going to respect each other.
No. One way.
It's a one-way street. You're going to respect us. We've decided something, and
I think it's funny that it's just like marginally white dudes pretending to be the victim and the boss at the same time.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's Jeffrey Marsh, big influencer in the trans community. And I have no problem with how Jeffrey dresses or the makeup or any of that. I think some men are like, a lot of men have worn makeup for a long time. I don't care if men wear whatever clothing they want. But what you don't get to tell me is that I have to respect you.
Yeah.
I respect people who respect me. It's not something that I'm just going to give to an entire community that decides something and just says you have to respect me. It's not how it works. It is not how it works. Like that Dylan Mulvaney person. Yeah, oh my God, I have to do a whole thing on Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney is so offensive to me. As a woman, Dylan Mulvaney is offensive.
He's just insipid, man. It just
Ugh.
such a whore. He's like, just anybody who'll give me money, you put my face on your beer can, whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah,
gross.
Dylan Mulvaney has Bud Light put Dylan Mulvaney on the beer can. Ugh.
I have a song for Dylan.
Okay. And after that song, we'll go into the sorority house and how they're suing over a transgender person being brought into their sorority.
It's kind of an old song, but it seems like apropos for tonight. Well, I met her in a club down in Soho way. Drink champagne, tastes just like cherry cola. C-O-L-A cola. Well, she walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her name, and in a dark brown voice she said, Lola. L-O-L-A, Lola. Lola, Lola. Well, I'm not the world's most physical guy, but when she squeezed me tight, she nearly broke my spine. Oh, my Lola. La, 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 Lola. Well, I'm not dumb, but I can't understand why she walked like a woman and talked like a man. Oh, my Lola. La, 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 Lola. La, 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 Lola. Well, we drank champagne and danced all night under electric candlelight. Well, she picked me up and sat me on the knee. Said, dear boy, won't you come home with me? Well, I'm my world world's most passionate guy. When she looked in my eyes, well, I almost died for my Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola. Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola. Lola. Well, I pushed her away and I walked to the door. I fell to the floor. I got down on my knees. Yet I looked at her and she at me. Well, now that's the way that I wanted to stay, and I always wanted to be that way for my Lola. La 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 Lola. Yeah, girls will be boys and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up world and a shook up world except for Lola. La 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 Lola. La 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 Lola. Miami. Holly came from Miami, FLA. Hitchhiked away across the USA. Plucked her eyebrows on the way. Changed her name and he was a she. Said, hey, babe, take a walk on the wild side. He said, hey, honey, take a walk on the wild side. And the cottage girl say, do, 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 do. Little Joe never once gave it away. Yes, everybody had to pay and pay. And the color girls say, do, 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 do.
Thank you, Steve.
Oh yeah, that was actually a two and one. Oh.
So this right here is an article from Cowboy State Daily. And it's about Wyoming Sorority, accept the first transgender member. So there they are.
Applejack, is that Lola on the screen? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So this is published October 17th of 2022. University of Wyoming Sorority accept first transgender member. So
Okay.
yeah. So there were like okay.
Artemis.
Yes. A sorority, the University of Wyoming accepted its first openly transgender sister in the college's history, a student newspaper announced last week. Artemis Langford of Lander, is that it?
Yeah. Artemis.
Became the first open transgender student to be accepted into the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority in September, according to the Branding Iron UW student.
Their nickname was Lola.
Born male, Langford identifies as a woman and attended high school in Lander. Langford declined to comment to Cowboy State Daily, referring to the outlet of KKG's national headquarters. The sorority did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So, making history, Langford expressed joy and pride in the branding iron in the October 12th story, saying, "I'm glad to feel glad. Oh my God. I feel so glad to be in a place that I think not only shares my values, but to be in a sisterhood of awesome women and want to make that want to make history." So it sounds like this, this great thing. So Langford told the Branding Iron sorority sisters want to break the glass ceiling, trailblazing, and certainly feel that as their first trans member, at least in the chapter in Wyoming history. Kappa Kappa Gamma, in a list of guidelines for sisters about LGBTQ members, wrote that a single gender organization comprised of people who identify as women. That's a weird way to put things. The sorority does not discriminate in membership selection, the document states, except in requiring good scholarship and ethical character. So that's good that they weren't going to discriminate against somebody that was transgender coming into the sorority. I mean, maybe we need to have these laws be more specific that, there's transgender and there's transsexual, which is a medical condition. And I think that's the difference that maybe that we're missing is in the actual definitions of the difference between transgender, which anybody can identify as transgender, and transsexual as a medical condition, which you go through a doctor. So I think that, we need to be specific in how we are saying these things and use the proper terms, because it matters. Because if anybody, as we covered earlier, and under the definitions, if anybody can identify as transgender, then anybody can be accepted because they are of that, because everybody's looking to be the inclusive, right? The inclusive, we're not, we need to have, diversity hires. We need to have, a wide range of people. We don't want to look like we're bigots. We have to do these things to fit into society to make sure, right? I mean, we know that there is a certain number of, students that will be allotted of a certain ethnicity for schools. And that happens. They have these certain slots that they have to meet these requirements of these certain ethnicities and different backgrounds of students. Mm-hmm. These are, these are built into the society to make things more inclusive for people.
Apparently, sex and gender are entirely different things. Salty, nobody told you. Come on, keep up, man.
So Langford told the Branding Iron that there may be complications to being the first, and that there are bound to be detractors. But those detractors say that I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, that I wish they would see me as I am, said Langford. There have been detractors. Multiple community members reached out to Cowboy State Daily with concerns about living situations and facilities usage of the sorority home. However, those people declined to be interviewed or comment publicly out of fear of social repercussions. And see, that's the thing right there. People aren't talking about these things that are happening. Even though it's a small amount of people, it affects the rest of a larger population, right? One person can go into somewhere and affect a large amount of people. Even though they are a small amount of the population, they are affecting a large amount of the population, right? Like when they cast, when you know, when it's one person can go in and be part of something, and it can affect the large net of people that are all involved with that. That's what makes this a larger issue, and where it is a societal issue that people should be paying attention to. Because if a small amount of the population can cause a ripple effect where everybody is affected in a large amount of numbers, like associated with a sorority or a school or, you know, whatever the situation may be, or a workplace, if one person can cause that ripple effect.
Almost dropped the guitar. God damn it.
Then we need to pay attention to that. Especially when that small amount of the population is growing. And anybody can self-identify as part of that population that can have effect on a larger part of the population, even though they are a smaller one individual or a smaller amount of individuals. So the university has taken no stance. The UW spokesman, Chad Baldwin, told Cowboy State Daily that sororities are private organizations and that they have contract agreements to house members on campus in the area called Fraternity Sorority Row, but they are not funded by the college. We really don't have any comment.
Baldwin, you say?
Baldwin, yeah. So they had questions to begin with, you know, like how things were going to work out. And, you know, I feel like this, as a society, like we don't do anything preventative. We're reactionary. And we wait until something has already happened. And then we don't, you know, like questions like that are asked ahead of time. Those are things that should be thought out. They should have like the actual answers to those questions.
Yep. I think it's funny that, you know, most people just you know, whatever the situation is, no matter how dire or no matter how like inconsequential it is, every single thing gets dealt with on a reactionary basis. You know, like it only becomes consequential when their consequences have already happened. Like, yeah. You know, there's no preventative anything. There's no like, hey, why don't we look into this? Because this is weird how these fucking crazy ass fucking doctors have this fucking thing where they think, you know, pedophilia and rape and shit is fine. And then, you know, everything that progresses forward from their fucking teachings, from their ideology that's been adapted and adopted into, you know, college curriculums. So
you're talking about Dr. John Money and
I'm talking about Dr.
Kinsey.
John Money and Dr. Kinsey and others of their ilk who normalize this shit. And now it's like everybody can just be like, well, the words are vague enough, so I can just include myself in that group. You know what I mean? And that's the way that it becomes huge, is everybody just starts identifying as that other person. Well, I feel more like those people because, you know, whatever reason that they have. And that's how movements just explode, because people are like, oh, I'm that too. Even if you're not, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just funny how quickly it can escalate and how nobody pays any attention to it until it actually is something that you're like, hey, wow, well, look at that. That's crazy. All these people are doing this thing. that you talked about 10 years ago?
So this is actually the part of the article that I had found first. That other article was before. So I found it looking after I had found this article, saying that the women were suing the University of Wyoming Sorority for accepting a transgender member. Like, why would they do that? I was like, why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why are they, like, what happened? So this is from March 28th of 2023. And this the sorority lawsuit has national implications and could end up in the U.S. Supreme Court. And I actually have I did look it up, and I will show it to you guys. It was just filed, so there's really nothing on it yet. But they talk about like the actual file information. I don't pay like the $90 a year or whatever it is. It's just some crazy amount to be able to look into like all of the legal laws, and all of that. I can't afford that. So I have to wait until it's released. But all right. But they go into details about it in this article. So where am I? So 7 past and present sorority members are suing. Oh my gosh. The Kappa Kappa Gamma Sisterhood for its 2022 decision to admit transgender inductee Artemis Langford to the University of Wyoming chapter. An adult male does not become a woman just because he tells others that he has a female gender identity and behaves in what he believes to be a stereotypical female manner, reads a legal complaint filed Monday in the U.S. District Court of Wyoming. So, like, when I say this was just filed, this was just like last week, because this is March 28th, and they were saying that it was filed just like the week before.
Sure.
So this just got like. So
I was just getting triggered because at the top of that page it said member, and all I can see is Salty Mind's name is Mr. Magoo because he's a wrinkly white guy with one eye that sees for shit and is always getting into trouble. And the word member and that, and okay, it's too much. Please continue.
Okay. The fraternity council has betrayed the central purpose and mission of Kappa Kappa Gamma by conflating the experience of being a woman with the experience of men engaging in behavior generally associated with women. So I was like, what? As I'm reading this and I'm going through this, I was like, what is happening here? The Kappa Kappa Gamma fraternity, as a parent organization of the sorority, Langford did not immediately respond to a Cowboy State Daily message requesting comment. So the women are anonymous that came forward in the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's against Kappa Kappa Gamma fraternity based in Ohio. The organization council president, Mary Pat Rooney, Kappa Kappa Gamma Building Company in Wyoming, and Terry Smith, which is a pseudonym for Langford. So the attorneys wrote in the legal complaint that they have chosen to refer to the defendant as the pseudonym Terry Smith, just as they have chosen to refer to all the female plaintiffs as Jane Doe. However, Langford's membership in the sorority has been verified and reported by multiple news outlets, including the UW student newspaper, Branding Iron Story, in which Langford was quoted. The plaintiffs aren't seeking damages from Langford, but are seeking for the court to void Langford's membership in the sorority. He and him. That's what they state. I'm not making my opinion on that. The women are suing on behalf of themselves and on behalf of the sorority itself, saying certain sorority officials have perverted its mission and of 150 years to unite women. Quote, after national sorority officials disregarded the secret voting process required by sorority rules, and after extensive behind-the-scenes direction from national sorority officials and alumni advisors, the sorority inducted a man, Terry Smith, as a member, the lawsuit states. So they refer to Langford as Smith, he, him throughout. It alleges that sorority bylaws, corporate, and other governing documents promise members and prospective members of a single-sex organization and a sisterhood intended to be a haven during their college years. So the 6 women, I'm going to skip through a little bit of this because it's like just basic stuff. So they're like, now Mr. Smith, a man who claims to be a woman because he thinks he knows how women should behave, has brought into the plaintiff's sorority house. So they go on down here to talk about what this person was doing. This is what I wanted to get at. They're talking about like the bylaws here and all of that. The complaint later clarifies that Smith lives outside the sorority house, so that shouldn't be an issue, right? They don't live there. I'm just going to refer to them as they. They don't live there at the house. Now fulfilling a housing contract elsewhere, but is slated to move into the sorority in the coming year, and often stays there for meals and other secret sorority rituals and events. The doors of the sorority house communal bathrooms do not lock, the lawsuit continues, and the primary bathroom on the second floor does not have a private area to disrobe before showering. So I guess maybe they're uncomfortable because they present as a male body, I guess. Plaintiffs and other sorority members describe the second floor as a private, safe space where young women can interact without concern that they will be on display for men, the lawsuit says. Though Langford Smith doesn't live in the house, Langford offered will sit on the couch on the second floor common area, not studying, and watches the women, the lawsuit alleges. One sorority member walked down the hall to take a shower wearing only a towel, the document says. She felt unsettling presence, turned and saw Mr. Smith watching her silently. Oh, that's creepy. That's creepy. You know, if someone's just like standing there like watching you, like, yeah, that would be creepy. Smith, who's 21-year-old, is 6'2" and weighs 260 pounds. The document says, adding the other members of Kappa Kappa Gamma has comparable. No other member of the sorority has comparable size or strength. Langford is sexually interested in women, the lawsuit alleges, adding that Langford has a profile on Tinder which he seeks to meet women. Mr. Smith, while watching members enter the sorority house, had an erection visible through his leggings, the suit says. Other times he has had a pillow and on his lap.
Boing.
In his lap. Oh boy.
What the hell? Bro, put that away, man. There's girls in the hallway. Wait, you're a guy. You're a girl, bro. Cut it out. What the? I don't know how to feel. It's got to be very confusing for people.
This doesn't seem right.
What the fuck?
I know. I was reading it. Like
I read ahead. I'm like, what the fuck are you reading right now?
The complaint says that Langford has not undergone treatment to create a more feminine appearance.
Oh, He just knows how to wear. He just wears makeup really well.
So awkward moments, it says, as if the awkward moments hadn't already happened. My God, like I feel awkward just reading
and
it.
here comes the awkward moment.
I'm like, I feel awkward already. Like just reading that, I'm like, oh, like I'm picturing these girls at the sorority, like just like kind of like with this one weird person, just like there.
Just kind of like, sitting in the hallway waiting for you to walk by
with a pillow over there.
You got your toothbrush, and they're sitting there all conspicuous with a
just
pillow over
sitting on a couch, like
bro. I mean,
outside of the bathroom. That's just weird, or just like being there and being. Oh, I don't know. This just. Okay, being a female, I will tell you that is awkward and weird behavior. Do not do these things if you're a male around the females. Please, you'll be called a creep.
It's just weird.
I don't care if you're a female doing this around other females, you'll be called a creep.
Yeah.
Because me personally, I actually had
Applejack's like, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you guys about my awkward work experience that I had after this. So the complaint also claims Langford took photographs of the women at awkward moments when they were not prepared while in the sorority slumber party. Okay. What? Smith repeatedly questioned the women about what vaginas look like, breast cup size, whether women were considering breast reductions and birth control.
Well,
the complaint alleges.
I mean, pretty comprehensive.
Geez, like, what are you like studying women? Are you trying
to get married? Let's see.
So Langford was supposed to leave the slumber party at 10 p.m., but did not, saying Smith would leave after you fall asleep. What? That's so creepy.
Hella creepy.
At 11:15,
Langford. Rohypnol, bro. Lay off the Rohypnol.
Oh my God. At 11:15, Langford loudly sang, God rest ye merry gentlemen, from a corner of the room and did not leave until midnight. The complaint says, what the hell that is for?
You're singing Christmas carols to him?
In the corner.
That's creepy.
What is happening?
I'm going to sing Christmas carols till you fall asleep, and then I'll leave.
Oh, that's weird. Oh,
that's strange. Salty says Brenda's morning stiffy made the other girls uncomfortable.
Oh my God. Okay.
Focus,
let's be respectful. But the article brings up the erection. Like we can't help it. We can't help it. Okay, sorry.
The next morning, Langford returned to the house and stood silently in the corner of the room next to the door, while other pledges changed from sleeping garments into their other clothes, the lawsuit says. One woman did not know Langford had returned. She faced away from the others and took off her shirt while not wearing a bra, and she put on a new shirt. She turned around and discovered Langford staring at her, according to the complaint. Other Kappa members told the woman later that day that Langford appeared sexually aroused during this incident and stood near the door with his hands over his genitals. The complainant alleges. Since the event, Mr. Smith has repeatedly asked the women about her romantic attachments. Langford also sat in the back of the sorority yoga class for an hour in December and watched the assembled young women flex their bodies, the suit said. Well, if they're going to flex their bodies like that, I mean...
Oh, my God.
What the fuck? The complaint alleges that for Smith's induction vote, the sorority chapter broke with its usual anonymous voting process and used a Google poll requiring voters to sign in using their email addresses, compromising their anonymity. Sorority representatives not only approved Mr. Smith's membership, but a national sorority officials also encouraged chapter officers to pursue Mr. Smith and guided chapter officers in the illegal selection process, the complaint alleges. Several of the women would have voted against Langford in an anonymous vote. The lawsuit continues, but chose not to because of the public voting system. I don't know, that seems a little iffy. The chapter president, membership chair, and vice president for academic excellence spoke prior to the vote. The complainant alleges that
Applejack
telling the
wants to go
women
to the sorority.
telling the women they could only vote against Langford if they could articulate specific concerns about Langford's personality. If members had not met Mr. Smith, then a no vote was evidence that the member was a bigot. The complaint says, adding that bigotry is grounds for expulsion. National alumni supervisors were pressuring the UW chapter to induct its first transgender member to raise the chapter's prominence and garner the national sorority leaders' favors, the suit said. Loyalty pledge. The complaint says that Kappa Kappa Gamma inductees pledged not to enter another sorority even if they leave this one. That means women who chose to leave the sorority over Langford's induction cannot enjoy sorority life elsewhere, the lawsuit says. The complaint also says that Langford had a 1.9 cumulative grade point average in the autumn of 2022, which is below the required 2.0 or 2.7 GPA for sorority applicants. A woman who questioned Langford's induction and disputed whether Langford is a woman was given literature to educate herself, the lawsuit says. Besides asking the court to void Langford's membership in the sorority and declare that men cannot be in the sorority under its existing government documents, plaintiffs also are asking the court to declare that the defendants have violated their obligation to the sorority. They're asking for mandatory damages for the defendants allegedly violating the sorority house contract for monetary damages to compensate for defendants' wrongful acts and for the defendants to reimburse their attorney fees. Well, bunch of bigots. What?
It's crazy, all the things that, like, in this story, I was like, what is happening?
What?
I was like, this is happening for like this one,
That's
one
nuts. Like,
one person.
Like, bro.
So this is what I mean by this is a bigger issue for society because
Things like this
when
will
one
happen.
person can go in and cause and wreak havoc on an entire area, an entire establishment, whatever
Entire
it is.
sorority, anyway. Like,
Yeah.
And the idea that's possible means that people should pay attention. And the fact is that how easy was it for that person to do that? Like, what the fuck, man? How are there no fucking like guidelines for that? If you look like a woman, then you can just sign up for a women's sorority in school. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of wow. Kind of wow, man.
So here's a picture.
Oh, wow, man.
Did it show on the screen? Here's a picture of them all together.
They're called Sam Squanches. Sam Squanches, Norman. Ask aggravated progressive.
Taco about mental health.
Talk about?
Taco.
Taco about.
Taco about
Taco
mental health.
About. I'm taco.
It's a taco
I am taco about.
for the women, and I think that that's funny that it's a taco. I don't think that person has a taco.
Are you just berating me?
I don't think
Are
they
you
have.
burritoing me?
I don't think, according to that last article, I'm pretty sure it's a safe bet that person does not have a taco. There is someone without a taco up there, but So this is this. I think this was like the next day.
I don't think Ohio's in Wyoming, Applejack. Just to there's some kind of
This is
geography thing going on here.
So this is the floodgates are open with a lawsuit challenging UW sorority over transgender member. No, they are the Kappa Kappa Gamma was it was headquartered or something in Ohio.
Oh,
That's where Ohio came into it. Yeah.
So their headquarters.
Part of the lawsuit was against the Kappa Kappa Gamma, and it was like an Ohio, that's where their headquarters was for that sorority.
Faculty. Yeah. The head of the sorority people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Top tier.
So no, there was an Ohio, Ohio didn't come out of just nowhere.
That's right.
Steve,
Okay.
Applejack was paying attention.
All right. Fine.
You weren't, maybe.
Well, probably.
Okay.
Just assume that I was not. Because that's
Oh.
a safe bet.
A lawsuit several women are waging against the university sorority. The first transgender member has national implications, says a constitutional expert. So, what was it that I wanted to put in this? But yeah, they're like the floodgates are open now.
Yeah. Did Applejack find out where the Kappa Gamma
No, it's Kappa Gamma
Gamma
chapter in Ohio.
Pajama Grandma in Ohio. If he found out where that office was, because he said he was going to Google it. I don't know. Have you heard of that Googling things? Is that a thing?
I don't use Google.
Yeah, I don't. Never heard of it. Women's Tactical Alert Team.
So they're telling her they're sympathetic. Wyoming Rep Clark Stith, is it Stith Art of Rock Springs?
Stith.
Stith.
He looked a little stiff.
Oh my god. Who an attorney experience in civil law told Cowboy State Daily he's not sure if the women have chosen the right forum. They filed their lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for Wyoming, a federal court, but they have invoked state laws, not federal laws, in their filing, he said. I'm sympathetic to plaintiffs wanting to be able to go to an all-female sorority, and now they can't. Said still. So I'm sympathetic to that goal. I just don't know they're gonna win. So he's like, yeah. The case can still go forward in federal court, and plaintiffs can show that the defendants are from different states and contested amount of money is more than 75. Was it 75,000? Or why is there an extra comma there? It seems like an extra comma.
Have a stiff lip. Stiff lip.
So is Stith said, God, this is so bad for my freaking
your dyslexia.
My lisp and my dyslexia. This is freaking awful. I'm like, I'm
it's
not
challenging, everybody. Jesus,
and I smoked.
It's a struggle, you guys.
And I've been smoking the bowl. Well, for example, one of the anonymous Jane Doe plaintiffs says that in a University of Wyoming student, Nebraska resident, the defendant may question whether she's actually a Wyoming resident since she spends most of her time in Wyoming. Right. Wyoming, since she spends most of her time in Wyoming. Why does it say that? Oh, if she's a Nebraska resident or a Wyoming resident. Okay. So, yeah, there's another picture. I am just gonna leave this here, I think, and that we're just gonna, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, he found it. He found the talk about mental health people, sorority, charity, whatever it is. It's a sorority, I think. Did you find Mr. Stith? Who are you calling Mr. Stith?
So we have one more thing to cover. Gosh, man, I should have split this up into two different shows. Girls have to split this up. Segment it.
It's the Kappa Kappa gang bangers or something. Whoa. If you type Kappa, it makes a smiley face. Kappa.
Really?
Kappa. Kappa. Yeah, that's weird. Wait, now it's not. What was I doing before? That's fucking strange. I don't understand what happened right there.
I don't know.
But it's a weird face too. It's like the moon face or something. It's not really even a smiley face. What the fuck is that?
Okay. It just keeps saying Kappa Kappa on here. What are you
just
doing?
Yeah, because you can't see the things. The emojis. Chin up, keep your stiff upper lip.
Okay, so the next part of things that I would like to cover is, everyone has probably been talking about and hearing about is the recent shooting that happened at the church. And people are very, very focused on the fact that the person identifies as transgender. Really hyper focused on that. And I think that there's a lot of, stuff around it that is, super suspect. And I have a couple of those things I'm going to pull up. But I think we need to remember also, these are the people that lost their lives that day. There were children that lost their lives that day. And 3 adults that lost their lives while they were at a church.
Yeah, that's fucking horrible.
This has not been the focus. What's been the focus is all about the shooter and the fact that they identify as transgender. It has been absolutely outrageous that that's all I keep hearing is the trans shooter, the trans shooter. I just wanted to take a moment to put their faces on the screen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
These are the people that lost their lives that day. Because of somebody who has a mental health illness. And I say a mental health illness because there's no sane person that goes into a church and kills these people. So that right there defines that they have some sort of mental health illness to go and do this.
This wasn't the shooter with that crazy backstory of potential abuse or something with the.
No, yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Like, so everyone's like hyper focused on that aspect of it. That this person self-identifies as trans.
Okay.
And they do their LinkedIn profile has he, him, and they go up the other name. And I'll just bring that up real quick so you can see. It says Audrey Hale, he, him. So I wanted to show the reaction that the president had to this shooter at the church. It should be. I thought there was a video clip with this. That one. Oh, here it is.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal? One of the best guys in the United States Congress, Ben Cardin. Folks, welcome to the White House. It's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all four of them? Well, stand up, guys. Well, I want you to know, like you, I had two brothers, three.
I think Joe is.
There you go.
I think Joe is among the creepiest of the creepy dudes in the universe. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he's like next level smarmy and arrogant and just like completely misplaced pomposity, if you will. You know?
Yeah, with
That's
dementia,
what it seems like.
with dementia mixed in there.
Dementia is mixed in there with his like grandiose fucking idea of what he's doing and who he is, and all his yes men are fucking just, oh yes, Joe, you're the boss, and fucking he's just the boss, and you know, all his minions run around doing the things as he fucking babbles about fucking ice cream and fucking shit in his pants. I don't understand how this man is our president. I don't understand any of that. I think it's just a matter of like he got called up, you know. It's like you get called up. You're like, well, you put in your time and the fucking you did the time in the minors being the vice president for old Mammy. So let's go. You're in there now. I know everybody else lost all the other primaries except Bernie won the 1 seat. But that's irrelevant because Joe is winner. He's his good friend Joe Biden, and he won. And he's the best president ever, according to everyone that is like in the bubble, in the fucking weird democratic neoliberal dementia Biden bubble, demented Biden bubble. Oh, second best band name of the string. Demented Biden bubble. Are you with me?
There you go.
Steve and his demented Biden bubble. Come on, everybody. Vote Democratic this year. It's the most important election of our lifetime.
Always. So, would you believe that USA Today accuses the Nashville police of misgendering the trans school shooter? Yeah, that happened. This is March 27th, 2023. So they accused them of misgendering the trans shooter who killed 6 people, including 3 children at the Christian school.
Misgendered.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I get it, you know, so you killed a few people or whatever, but misgendering someone, come on. This is 2023, people. Can't have that. You will respect us.
Yeah, apparently they misgendered the person, and you know, and USA Today, there we go, called out the police about it.
That's pretty fucking that is as shit live as it gets, I think. How can you top that? I mean, that's like the same kind of shit livery that you see all the time, the same thing, but applied like deftly, you know, just like the most
like how like, are you kidding me?
It's fucking nuts. It's 1984 plus 39 years. All I see is war and so many tears.
So there's been some other information that has come out about like how apparently their family did not accept them for who they were. And that's unfortunate that that's happening to people, that people are being rejected by their family. That has got to be devastating. It is not a reason that you suddenly go and you kill people, though.
Yeah.
I think it's really what's really weird to me about this entire case is that the police released body cam footage like right away. When do we ever get body cam footage and inside footage and all that right away? They just like had it ready that day. It was really convenient how quickly they released all the footage, and then they're like, yeah, there's a manifesto, but we're not going to release that. But like all this stuff is happening all around this event that's supposed to be a trans day of vengeance and stuff. And like, it feels like an agenda's being taken. This situation is being taken advantage of. And there's opportunistic people that are using this opportunity to push an agenda, possibly. Because here's the exclusive: the Nashville mass school shooter Audrey Hale was rejected by her Christian parents who couldn't accept she was gay and trans. As cops reveal, she also planned to shoot relatives. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. So they refuse to adopt the name Aiden and use he/him pronouns, or dress as a man in their home. The 28-year-old loner would instead wait until she left their $700,000 Nashville property to change outfits, according to a well-placed source. You can only see what you want to see. Their religion does not allow them to accept homosexuality, a source told the Daily Mail. So I do actually have a clip where they do, I believe I have a clip on this, where they do explain why they feel that way. They feel like if you are having if you feel like you were born in the wrong body. This is not my belief, that this is what the some of the folks that hold Christian beliefs think, is that you're playing God if you feel like you were born in the wrong body and you need to change your genders. So that's the belief system that they're referring to as to why they say they can't accept them for who they are, and they can't accept homosexuality is also looked frowned upon in certain religious circles as well. So this is, I guess, her parents. And let's see, there's the Trans Day of Vengeance to stop trans genocide that I believe was canceled. It was supposed to be this last Saturday, and they did. So I guess the person was Audrey at home, but when they left, they changed their clothes. But that doesn't explain to me why you would, you would go to that church to just harm people. So neighbors of the tree-lined suburban street where the family lived for 3 decades said that they were clueless about Hale's apparent transition and remembered her as a skater tomboy type. She introduced herself about a year and a half ago as Audrey, said one. I treated her like a female. She didn't correct me. She seemed artistic, quiet, and well-mannered. Police now say Hale planned to carry out more attacks, including against her own family. We talked to her mother, or her father and mother, and we searched the home and found 2 more weapons. And there were some more maps pertaining to thinking about some other incidents. We strongly believed we were going to be on some other targets, including family members and one of the malls here in Nashville, and it just did not happen. He's not laying on him, is he? All right. So it just doesn't, this just doesn't seem to fit, right? Like, so far, it's like, where did that person come from that just decided to go into a church and kill people? So, like, according to, what the reports have said is that, she was 28. She lived at home with her parents still. So they still supported her, obviously, in some way. And she still lived there.
Yeah.
There's been this weird discrepancy too, with some of the footage about the shoes that they had on at the scene. One looked like a Puma, and then the other one looked like a pair of Vans. And I looked at the surveillance footage, and it's really you have to really look up close, but I definitely could tell that that's the footage that
The footage that showed up the next day. Or hours later.
Yeah, like it was like right away. So the picture on the left is the shooter going into the building, because remember, like I said, they released like all the body cam like footage and like all the inside footage like right away. Like I've never seen the information come out like that quickly. It was either like, okay, it was a really good thing, like we better get this out there because there's been so many bad stories about cops, or like this was like, I don't know. Like it was crazy how quick this information came out. Like it was like it poured out. It does usually. I mean, how long does it usually take to get body cam footage and surveillance footage of something happening? But this was like pushed on people. Like I'm like, same day I'm finding this information, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
When do we ever get information that quickly?
Usually not very quickly. Although when the Buffalo shooter happened, we got information really fast. We didn't get the footage, but we had a lot of information about it really fast. So, I don't know. It's hard to say.
And then I found this information out that The Nashville school shooter was being counseled by the lead pastor whose daughter was murdered. I don't know why they use this really old photo of the daughter, but yeah. So
Weird.
Recent report reveals that one of the 6 victims who were killed was during the shooting rampage was a daughter of a pastor who was providing counseling to her. And what kind of counseling do you think he was, they were getting?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's see what this video.
Still no official motive in the case of the 28-year.
Yeah, no official motive. They keep saying, I don't know if I should play Inside Edition. I think I'll probably get dinged.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep saying there's no official motive for what happened. And it's, and I'm like, wow. So like this information comes out really fast. All of this, like they released pictures of the weapons that were used like the same day. Like it was like boom, boom, boom. Like it was just handed out. I was shocked. Like, since when does since when does did the police release all this information?
I don't know. I used to eat snow, Vicky Adams said. All right. I know it was really popular in the 70s to snort it. And that looks like a assault rifle.
And see, it says the name Aiden on it. It's got sticker.
Yeah, it's a nice gun. Those are expensive. Those aren't so expensive, but also nice.
So the police are releasing like all of this information. They're even asking about it in Congress.
Yeah, it seemed like a narrative being fed to us fully.
I've just never seen such a coordination of like, where and I have all like the different clips of the different security footage. I've watched it all. And it was weird because you see the person like lying on after they got shot, and there was no blood. It was really weird to me.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like there was just no blood there on the surveillance. And like, so this was on the 28th. They're already like asking questions, like in Congress about the motives behind it. Like what? All right, let me mute us real quick.
Do you plan on opening a hate crime investigation for the targeting of Christians?
The FBI and ATF are both on the scene working with the local police. As of now, motive hasn't been identified, and the police chief said at his last press conference that they don't yet have reached a conclusion with respect to motive. We are certainly working full time with them to try and determine what the motive is, and of course, motive is what determines whether it's a hate crime or not.
Do you plan on
Like, wow, they got Garland in there. Like, they're like, we're just gonna, we're gonna ask about this, like, that just happened.
Yeah, keys shaking for babies. It's they're just like, you got any motive for you think there's any kind of hate involved there down there? And went in there and shot the place up. You think it was hateful? Well, we're investigating. We almost do. We're not really sure, but we're going to look into that. There's a possibility that potentially there could have been some sort of hate-related something or other, vague chatter and words that lawyers say. Thank you. I yield my time.
And so the opposite narrative is being spun when it's coming to what Fox is saying and what these people, from this perspective.
Gender movement seemed to be getting militant and possibly dangerous. We did a whole segment about it on Thursday night. That segment was sparred by an NPR segment we had heard and never expected to hear. NPR is always, as a matter of editorial policy, completely opposed to civilian ownership of firearms, with the possible exception of maybe IRS agents. Yet here suddenly was that very same station, National Public Radio, positively urging trans people to buy guns, as many guns as possible, and if necessary, to use them. The world is dangerous, explained one trans gun owner. You have to be dangerous back. And that seems strange to us. Is the United States really a dangerous place for trans people? Well, West Baltimore is dangerous. You could easily get murdered there. But if you're trans in this country, obviously there are many downsides, but there do appear to be some benefits. It's a lot easier to get into Harvard, for example. It's definitely easier to get a job at Citibank or in the Biden White House. If you're transgender and so much as fly a kite, the Pentagon will happily make you an F-35 pilot, just so Hollywood can make a movie about it. Identifying as trans, whatever, again, its downsides, does convey status in this country, which is why so many young people now do. Not a lot of 19-year-olds are pretending to be car mechanics or linemen for a regional power company in Eastern Ohio, but plenty of college freshmen do pretend to be members of the opposite sex. And why wouldn't they? The people in charge despise working-class whites, but they venerate the trans community.
So they're taking the same exact thing and they're going to spin it on feed to be red meat. But I thought the beginning of this was interesting, that they're pushing back against NPR. And suddenly there's a gun debate that's happening, right? And people are like, well, now they're talking about, is this a mental health illness or not? And whether or not trans people should have guns. And then now that we're having a Second Amendment conversation all over again. Because now there's hypocrisy as to whether or not people should be able to own guns. And now they're pushing this whole trans people with guns, and they're pushing it like as if there's like a lot of people that are trans that have guns. But we saw earlier in the segments how small of a population the trans people are. So why is it being pushed in this way? Why is the narrative being spun in this way? Who is it possibly going to benefit? I think these are things that we need to pay attention to, and to what's happening and where the narrative is being pushed in what direction.
I just saw a beehive wig on Tucker with some dangly clip-on earrings, kind of like Monty Python style, Eric Idle. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of, because Snowy said recommended that we get the Tucker to get his bow tie back. that he used to wear and have it spin? And I'm like, yeah, or, he could be like Annette Funicello look-alike with the beehive and the dangly earrings and some eyeshadow and, the whole thing.
So what was crazy is that, like, what I didn't hear was much conversation about this. There is a lawsuit against the church that lines up about the time that that person would have been a student at the church. The same church that Audrey, I think it's Audrey, right? Or, oh God, I'm getting the name confused because it's a name. I'm tired. So the shooter, I'm just going to call him the shooter. So this time period of when this
TS is fine.
Okay. When this would line up for about the time period that they would have been at the school. And now they're undergoing counseling by the head guy, and then that person goes and shoots the child. So what is this lawsuit? Why am I showing you a lawsuit against a church?
Why are you showing a lawsuit?
Oh,
That's private property, private business. Can't show them that. It's illegal. Tucker Carlson will be wearing a wig and earrings in no time.
No.
I don't know what that means, but it's true. How to sue the church for $29.99 per taxes year.
So this is the church where the shooting happened in Nashville.
Okay.
All right.
And the Davis family is suing the members of the Covenant Presbyterian Church of Nashville. Filed the original complaint against the Covenant, Jim Bachman, Joe Eads,
increase it?
so on and so forth. Okay. It has a lot of stuff. Yeah, bigger that's way better. Wow, I can see. So, Bachman, Eads, Avery, and Robertson, collectively referred to as defendants, moved to dismiss the complaint on July 24th, 2013. Plaintiffs filed a motion to amend their complaint, which was granted by order entered August 1st, 2013. On August 7th, 2013, plaintiffs filed an amended complaint alleging that the defendants committed a continuous series of intentional acts, negligent acts, or omissions which damage the plaintiffs in furtherance of an illicit act by defendants by fraudulently conceal from appropriate authorities unreported and unprosecuted child sexual abuse by confessed child molester John Perry, a book author, who is associated with or was once closely associated with the defendants as a founder and former officer of the Covenant, and same who donated money to Covenant. From 2002 to 2012, the plaintiffs were closely associated with the information and circumstances concerning vulnerable children residing at John Perry's residence and the defendant's fraudulent concealment of unlawful child sexual abuse by confessed child molester John Perry without plaintiffs actually possessing knowledge of child molestation by John Perry until 2012. The complaint goes on to attempt to assert causes of action for invasion of privacy, malicious harassment, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent hiring, training, supervision, retention, and civil conspiracy. Okay, August 22nd, the defendants filed a motion to dismiss plaintiff's amended complaint, asserting the plaintiff's amended complaint consists of an assortment of vague something why does it just say a consistent assortment of vague, incoherent, rambling, and disjointed assertions and conclusory allegations that provide defendants with no ability to decipher the factual basis for the causes of action plaintiffs have asserted. Specifically, defendants argued the amended complaint should be dismissed for failure to provide a short and plain statement of the claims, failure to allege a cause of action with the applicable statutes of limitations period, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, and failure to plead conspiracy with sufficient specificity. Nashville Presbytery and PCA filed motions to dismiss on August 26, 2013 and September 6, 2013, respectively. Okay. I need meat. I need the facts. I need the specifics. I need the date. I need the place. I need the who, the where, and what happened. I don't have any of that. So unless you have something further to show me, I'm going to grant their motion to dismiss. The statute of limitation is definitely a question, but we can't even get that far because you don't have enough specificity pursuant to Rule 8 to state a claim of action.
All right.
Reading is fundamental. Too much reading will make you mental. Okay. Are we just scrolling through it really slowly?
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I'm trying to see what there was. There was something else that I wanted. Basically, there was allegations of of sexual abuse that happened at the church, and it was around the time, and the person is now being counseled there, and is being rejected by their family, and all this is happening. So. But the police are releasing all kinds of information, but what they're not releasing is the actual manifesto and all of that they're not releasing that, but they released a bunch of all other information really, really fucking fast. They released the body cam footage of the cop and made them out to be heroes and put their pictures right out there. When did they ever put cops' pictures out? Ever. Usually you don't.
It feels like excuse me.
Yeah, and it might not be a psyop. It could be that something happened, and that this person went there and their motive was because of the abuse that they went through. That might be what's in that manifesto, and it might be that it's the abuse and all of this that happened at the hands of other people, that they went and that's they felt like that was the last thing they could do. But they are so hyper focused on the fact that it's a trans person. They're so hyper focused on that, and they're hyper focused on releasing certain bits of information. So it just feels like something's off here, something's not fitting, and I don't know exactly what it is yet. But there's been some discrepancies that people have noticed with this, and we'll be called the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat people, but if things feel funny about it, then it's probably because we either mistrust the official narrative of things because of the way things come out, and how often things are psyop, right? They are psyops so much of the time that does everything start to feel like a psyop to us, or we just notice the psyops a lot easier, or the manipulation or the control. I don't know what it is, but
it doesn't necessarily have to be a psyop. It could be just a cover up of the fact that somebody was, powerful people don't want whoever was responsible for that to be fucking in trouble, and then they're not in trouble for it, and the person who was suffering the most probably, we have no idea though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknown, but they give you a lot of information, and that makes it seem like there's transparency, right? It's like, wow, they're being transparent. We're gonna praise them, and then people like just like will let it gloss right over. But I feel like there is something else being covered up, or something else that happened with this. And I thought that this case was pretty, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's crazy. You know, like they're like unlawful sexual abuse. Like it's about like this person, John Perry, in intentional or reckless conduct, you know, like threatening the plaintiffs, physically separating the plaintiffs against their free will, following and hounding them, blocking movement of them, using the police as instruments to invade, harass, or threaten the plaintiffs at their private home for unfounded or false reasons. You know, so these people are known for doing this is a church. You know, so and we know, yeah, I say that children are not safe at church as well. I don't feel that church is a safe place for children, because there are people that are predators that, you know, they insert themselves into the spaces where they have access to children. And there has been plenty of cases where churches are getting sued for, you know, child molestation and other things happening to children. And here is just another one. And this is the church that gets shot up also. So I mean, it's
weird.
Yeah, it says, like, you know, plaintiffs assert that underlying wrongful conduct at the center of the alleged conspiracy consisted of the defendants committing an unlawful purpose of concealing molestations of a child and potentially other children. From our reading, it appears that the plaintiff's age fraudulent concealment was underlying predicate tort allegedly committed by defendants. Thus, we must consider a claim for fraudulent concealment and present from the facts alleged. It's just, you know, they go on and on and on about, you know, abuse that happened. So, this could be around that same time period. It's just something to look out at. We will definitely make sure that all of the links for all of the things that we covered will be in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is predators everywhere, and the predators purposefully insert themselves into situations where they're going to be around the people that they're prey. We have to remember who a predator's prey is, and that's who a predator puts themselves around. And we need to be aware of it, and we need to make sure that we are not having, you know, rose-colored glasses on and overlooking when somebody is a predator. We need to do better as a society to keep kids protected from everywhere, from every angle that they're getting harmed. You have to make it uncomfortable for people to be a predator. Like, you know, you have to make it where they won't act on their behavior, or they will second guess it, or they won't do it, or we have counseling where people, because the more that I look into these things, the more I realize how full of predators this world is. And it goes across every background, every, you know, from the poor to rich, everybody. It's both genders. It can go across any political spectrum. It is everywhere. There are predators everywhere. And it needs to be called out, and it needs to be addressed or we're not going to be able to move forward as a society and have a healthy generation grow up, because they're always going to be preyed upon.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, y'all.
Yeah, this has been a long stream. Oh, I do have one more video. That one I showed you and Sky earlier. Yeah, I have one more video.
All right. Then I'll play a song.
As we scamper out. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I gotta add it to the thing over here. You guys will love this video. I'm just gonna let it play as you go out. I'll just put it. I'll mute it because it's just funny, and we could just let it play. Okay, you guys ready for this one? Watch these cats. Just when you think they're like done, they just keep going.
The river so wide, the mountain so red, the sunshine over my head. The honky tonks are all hushed and cool. Looks like Palm Sunday again. It looks like Palm Sunday again. It looks like Palm Sunday again. The river's so wide, the mountain's so red, and with the sunshine over my head. The honky tonks are all closed and hushed. It looks like Palm Sunday again. It looks like Palm Sunday again.
Leo, come here. Want to come say hi?
Thanks a lot, everybody, for hanging out. We appreciate you. Beady beep beady boo. Let's see here.
All right, everybody. They have a good night.
Say Orf. He said, "Get this goddamn hat off of me." All right, we love you, people. Good night.
Good night.
Everybody be well.
Oh, that was a long stream.